Well, here we are with a bit of a dark atmosphere, and I thought that I'd do a talk on sleep, what Gurdjieff had to say about sleep. So, we shall start off with a quote from Life is Real Only Then When I Am. When a man really sleeps normally, his attention, by the quality of which the, so to say, gradation of the difference between the waking state and sleep is conditioned, also sleeps, that is to say, his attention, is according to the law conformable inherencies in him, stored up with corresponding force for the subsequent necessary intensive manifestations. So I wanted to do sleep because there's been a lot of misunderstanding of what sleep is these days, and waking up and being awake, and what Gurdjieff means by being awake. And there's been some confusion with people about being awake and this woke thing that's going on. This isn't about woke. That's a totally different thing compared to this. This is about waking ourselves up so that we can live to our full potential, to be awake to what the real world is, which is why this book that I'm taking this quote from is titled Life is Real Only Then When I Am. And we're only real when we're our true I am, when we're really awake. So carrying on with this quote from page 139 of Life is Real. But when, owing to some disharmony in the general functioning of a man's organism, most often to a non-normal expenditure in his waking state of the law conformably accumulated energy, this part of the general psyche of his waking state is not capable of normally actualizing itself during sleep. Then, from the associations flowing in him, constated with this attention, so to say, a bit here and a bit there, these famous dreams are obtained, that is to say, human foolishness. And we don't want to be fools, we're trying not to be fools. But the human foolishness comes with being asleep. We sleepwalk through our lives when, that's a foolish thing to do. If we can find a way to be awake and live our lives properly, awake, in an awakened state, so that we're true to ourselves and the real I, and then doing the divine's work for them as well, which is another topic, but still, I had to mention that. Being awake, we would no longer be a fool. We might find it difficult because we might be the only one awake, but hopefully other people are waking up as well. At the moment, we're waking up by doing this work. We're not fully awake, but this work gives us nudges and gives us inklings of what it's like to be awake. And when we're doing the work and the exercises on ourselves, we slightly wake up and we create that energy. And as he's saying in this paragraph that I just read, there's all these law conformable ways of doing this, which can be sounds quite complicated. And when you read through Beelzebub's Tales, it's quite a mindful of reading to have to do. There's a lot of terminology in it, but it's something we have to ponder on and work upon and start seeing how all these laws are working together to make a harmonious whole, which is what we're aiming towards, a harmonious whole of ourselves. So this is from All and Everything, page 7. That extraordinary new disease, and he's talking about writing his book here, of which the majority of those persons fall ill who sleep with half-open eyes. So we can have our half-open eyes and are kind of aware that something's going on and that there's more to life than what we're being told in our sleep state by everybody else and our peers and our whatever that show us how we're supposed to live. And we all have that little inkling in the back of our head telling us this is not the way to live. We can be more wholesome, more true, and live more honest lives than all these lies and foolish ways that everybody else seems to be doing, the ones that are asleep. When we're asleep, we're pondering along, just doing this and that without really thinking about what we're doing or being aware of what we're doing. It's kind of like one big daydream, but I suppose if you're having a daydream, you can kind of control it. If you're trying to have a daydream about things you want to have a daydream about, that this asleepness, we're just doing what everybody else wants us to do and following everybody else. You know, this is why they call it herd mentality and sheep. And we don't want to be sheep. So this is from All and Everything Still, page 480. The process, the currents of associative movements, is the same as that which also proceeds in us when we are intentionally resting to allow the whole functioning of our common presence freely to transform without hindrance by our will. And that's the will that's distracting us. We want to create real will or make us do the work. All the varieties of being energy required for our all-round active existence. Whereas in them, these said various being energies can now arise only during their total inactivity. That is during what they call their sleep. And then, of course, only after a fashion. And of course, when we're asleep and we're following everybody else, there is that herd mentality I was just saying about, and fashions come, fashions go, not just clothing, but the way we live, the way we are. Everybody's wanting to keep up with the Joneses. So they're not doing something for themselves. They want to be seen by others and judged by others and, you know, clapped on the back by others and clapped as we walk down the street. Oh, look at that person, they're doing so well. When really, that's just trying to be the same as everybody else. I'm kind of concerned that that might be what the New World Order that's coming might be all about. We've all got to be the same and that we all need to be fair. Kind of sounds all a bit dark and dire when we're all individuals, really, and we should all have our own inputs and our own ways of being in ourselves as long as we're not harming others. But if we're doing this kind of work where we're trying to wake up, then we will become awake to our true potentiality. And that's what we're trying to find here, rather than having it suppressed by the sleep way of living our lives. So this is from All and Everything, page 505. In accordance with the principle autoklanos, the forming in the presence of such beings of energy necessary for what is called their waking state depends on the quality of the associations which proceed in their common presences during their complete passivity, or as they say, during sleep, and vice versa. That energy necessary for the productiveness of this sleep is formed in its turn also from the associative process proceeding in them. During this waking state, which is dependent on the quality or intensity of their activity, if they sleep well, then they will also be awake well, and vice versa. If they are awake badly, then they will also sleep badly. So, not just talking about sleep walking through life. How is your sleep at night? Are you sleeping well? Are you able to get to sleep? Are you doing the relaxation exercises so that your body's fully relaxed before you go to sleep? Gurdjieff says if we do this work on ourselves, we won't need as much sleep as, you know, the our peers tell us. You know, keep being told we need 8 hours sleep a night to be fully alert for the next day. If you do this kind of work on yourselves, you're creating energy inside yourself that is different to the people that are asleep walking through their lives energy. And you will also sleep a more thorough, fit sleep when you're going to bed at night sleep. And he also says we shouldn't be dreaming in our sleeps. If we're dreaming, it's because all our centers are out of whack. Where if we're not dreaming, if we don't have a dream, then our centers are supposed to be more are harmonized. So we're sleeping properly, doing a proper sleep to be revitalized, ready for the next day. We're not wasting energy. Probably waste energy in having our dreams and our nightmares. I know many people say, "Oh, I don't remember our dreams," or they remember snippets. Everybody dreams, don't necessarily remember them. We might wake up feeling, having a feeling from whatever that dream is, the residue of that dream. But if we can create the right energies so that we're starting to wake up, and then do wake up in our waking life as we go about our everyday business in a awakened state, then we're conserving some kind of energy that then helps us to sleep in bed at night. So it's win-win. We want to be awake in the daytime and sleeping in our beds at night properly. So I'm going to do a long quote now, which is from Where was this from? I've forgotten now. Sorry, I'm being a bit useless. What did I write this down as? I should pause it really. Oh, this is a translation from a French. That's why I haven't got it written down. This is a translation from a French book. So Dr. A says, can one sleep consciously? And Gurdjieff says, yes, in general, this is possible, but not for you now. In the future, maybe, but not now. It is even possible to rewind oneself like a clock. And that's another one of the exercises, which I can't remember if I've said this before, about before you go to sleep at night, when you're going to bed, it's a good exercise to rewind everything that happened through the day. You start from just before you go to bed and you think through everything or remember everything to the moment you got up. But you don't identify with it. You don't analyze it. You just let it flow like, you see that day's activities unwind like a film. It's another way of unwinding yourself as well. So Gurdjieff carries on. It is possible to repeat something definite to oneself in such a way that it passes into one automatically through auto-suggestion. One can even make suggestions to oneself while sleeping. But I don't advise you to do this. Before sleeping consciously, it is necessary to have another quality of sleeping. There are levels. There are 4 kinds of sleep. One can be 1/6 of sleep, 1/4, 1/2, or fully. And I'm sure all of you are aware that you sleep at different states throughout the night. But then I also know people find it very difficult to sleep or know that they're not sleeping properly. Maybe they've got children, so they're kind of half awake because they're listening out, are them children okay? Are the children getting up, moving about at night? Some people sleep very, very deeply. Some people are so drunk that they fall into a sleep and stupor, which is a different kind of sleep, really. It's not a proper sleep. Anyway, I'll carry on with his levels. So one can be 1/6 of sleep, 1/4, 1/2, or fully. This depends, among other things, on how you have been during the day. If you dream you are half asleep, in that case it is necessary to sleep. Let us say 7.5 hours. If you don't dream, 4.5 hours is enough. There is even a quality of sleep where 1 hour is enough. It isn't the quantity, it's the quality that is important. So all this 8 hour a night, maybe it's good for some people, but are they sleeping properly? This what the medical professions say we should be sleeping. So quality of your sleep that's important, as in everything in the Gurdjieff work. The quality is important, not the quantity. Where was I? You sleep 7.5 hours. Let's say you take about 2 hours to relax, not consciously, but automatically. This takes time. You could begin today to relax consciously up until the time you fall asleep. On the one hand, relaxing yourself in this way will bring you a better quality of sleep. On the other hand, you will begin in this way to establish a discipline that will allow a relationship, a contact between your awareness and your body. And then, of course, there's before you go to bed, try and relax every part of your body. I think I said before, from your feet up to your head. And then when I read it, it was your head down to your feet. Do whichever way suits you, I suppose. What makes you comfortable? So perhaps, if you have time, do the unwinding wheel of your day first, then do the relaxing, and hopefully you'll be off to a proper quality filled sleep. So on the one hand, relaxing yourself in this way will bring you a better quality of sleep. On the other hand, you will begin in this way to establish a discipline that will allow a relationship, a contact between your awareness and your body, which is very important. This is what all these exercises that we're working on is coming to. So Dr. A says, I don't need ways to fall asleep, but rather to wake up. Gurdjieff replied, I spoke about what is necessary to sleep well and to function well. In the morning, do the same thing. Immediately establish this contact, this relationship between your awareness and your body. Make a plan, think, give yourself suggestions on how you are going to spend the day. Do the same work you do to relax yourself. Your energy for living will double. And many of you will know of the sitting exercise that Gurdjieff advises for in the morning. If you sit and you concentrate on relaxing all your body, and then you've got your right leg. Think about that. I am. And look at your left leg. I am. Thinking about your left leg, left arm, right arm, torso, then head. You're concentrating on each part. You're giving your attention to your body so that your processes can work with your body. Your awareness is with your body. So someone else asks, from now on, can one avoid dreaming as an exercise? And Gurdjieff says, let's put that aside. What can you do? That's not what must be changed. Change the quality of your sleep. That is the medicine. Rub yourself down with cold water before going to sleep. Make this a habit. Later, when you lie down, pray for those nearest to you who have died. These two things will give a good preparation for sleep. If not, you will continue your dreams of the evening before, your fantasies of the evening before. If you sleep well, this will be a good preparation for tomorrow. If you do what I have just told you, you will sleep without dreaming. So on this one, he's asking you to think about those that you've lost, people that have passed on to the next realm. Say prayers for them before you go to bed. Perhaps visualize them, send them a little prayer. It's very important, the energies that we send to living and those that have passed over. They need to receive it. Some people need help in the other realms, or maybe you just need to feel your love. Love makes everything go round, apparently. So why do we just send it to people in this world? Why not into the other realms, wherever our deceased families, friends, and such like have gone? Say a little prayer, as they say, for those that have passed over. So this is from Views from the Real World, page 275. Rest comes not from the quantity, but from the quality of sleep. Sleep little without regret. And these are some of his aphorisms that Gurdjieff used to have up on the priory in the dance room. We used to have them all around the wall, written in the alphabet that he designed. Excuse me. So Views from the Real World, page 70. A man who sleeps cannot do. With him, everything is done in sleep. Sleep is understood here not in the literal sense of organic sleep, but in the sense of a state of associative existence. So that's going back to how we are in our day-to-day lives. Are we awake as we're going about, or are we just sleepwalking? Only you can decide. You've got to work on yourself to wake up. These are the kinds of things that all the enlightened people were working on, Buddha and the Christ and such like they started waking themselves up, worked upon themselves, and with them energies from the work they were doing on themselves, they were able to become enlightened beings that could then give us the teachings that we need so that we can become like that. Because we can do it. We can become enlightened. We can wake up. But it takes work. So from Views from the Real World, page 117. Sleep brings the centers neither harm nor profit. So sleep, as it is called, is not meant to give centers a rest. As I have said already, deep sleep comes when the connections between centers are broken. And indeed, deep sleep, complete rest for the machine, is considered to be that sleep when all links, all connections cease to function. What characterizes our waking state is that all these connections are intact. But if one of them is broken or ceases to function, we are neither asleep nor awake. If we take the range between sleep and waking with 7 connections, then there are people who go on living, talking and walking in the 3rd degree of sleep. We're coming back to the old octaves, law of 7. Octaves is quite a vast subject. Again, I've discussed it loads with Josh in the chats I do on the channel. So if you want to know more about octaves and how all that works, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, and all that, please go and check out the talks I do with Joshua Denny on my channel, because he explains it all far better than I can. So also from the Views from the Real World, page 119. Active state is when the thinking faculty and the senses work at their full capacity and pressure. We must be interested both in the objective, genuine waking state and in objective sleep. The purpose of sleep is achieved only when all the connections between centers are broken. Only then can the machine produce what sleep is meant to produce. Deep sleep is a state when we have no dreams or sensations. If people have dreams, it means that one of their connections is not broken, since memory, observation, sensation is nothing more than one center observing another. If the machine is in good order, it needs very little time to manufacture that quantity of matter for which sleep is intended. If we could fall asleep at once and as quickly pass from sleep to waking, we would spend on this transition a third or a quarter of the time we are spending now. But we don't know how to break these connections by ourselves. With us, they are broken and re-established mechanically, and we want to do it consciously. We want to do it aware of what we're doing. And again, going over that, what I was saying to you, of doing your day's backward reel film, I should say, if you do it backwards of what you've done throughout the day. If you're not doing that, then your subconscious at night starts bringing up things that was happening to you, what affected you in that day. Well, doing this rollback reel film of going back, what happened before I went to bed, what I did in the evening, what I did in the afternoon, morning, blah blah blah, to the moment I got up, you're disabling that connection because you're clearing it, as they would say. You know, like when you turn your computer off or restart it, it clears all the bump that's got caught up with it all. It's letting go of the connections that aren't doing us any good. They're just frivolous, I suppose. So Views from the Real World, page 120. It is necessary to learn at all costs not to be tense when tension is not needed. When you sit doing nothing, let the body sleep. When you sleep, sleep in such a way that the whole of you sleeps. So back to the whole, relax your body before you go to bed, so that you're not tense as you're going to sleep, because then you're holding all that tension in and it's going to enter into your dream state, which could be what brings on the nightmares. So page 192, Views from the Real World. When you look with one center, you are entirely under hallucination. When with two, you are half free. But if you look with three centers, you cannot be under hallucination at all. You must begin by collecting material. You can have no bread without baking. Knowledge is water, body is flour, and emotion, suffering, is fire. So having all them centers aligned makes you look at everything as a whole and seeing how the whole process works. It's all back to those laws of reciprocal maintenance, which again, I know I've said it can be quite hard to get your head round, but if you have a technical frame of mind, you might pick it up quickly. Others, you just got to persevere and keep rereading them parts in the books, or find other people that can teach them to you of how reciprocal maintenance works, how the cosmic laws of the universe work to make everything go round. And most people are not attuned to it, which is why they live their life so haphazardly. Right, where was I going to? All right, In Search of the Miraculous, page 66. A modern man lives in sleep. In sleep he is born, and in sleep he dies. You know, most people do, don't they? They just go about thinking they're modern man or woman. Here I am living my life, being a part of everything. I'm so in tune with everything. But they're not really. They're just in tune with the fashions and the vogues of the time. To be awake is to see, what do I want to say above that? What do I want to say? Well, I suppose you do see above it. You see beyond it. You see what the real world is. So in Search of the Miraculous, page 143. Before this, it is necessary to be convinced of the very fact of sleep. But it is possible to be convinced of this only by trying to awaken. When a man understands that he does not remember himself, and that to remember himself means to awaken to some extent, and when at the same time he sees how difficult it is to remember himself, he will understand that he cannot awaken simply by having the desire to do so. He cannot awaken by himself. We must work on ourselves. I know Gurdjieff says I wish, I can, I do, but you have to work on that. It doesn't just happen. It takes, even for Ouspensky, he had to work himself. I'm sure Gurdjieff had to go through all this teaching, and maybe he just had a way of picking it up really quickly. Maybe he could see how it all works. Maybe he was questioning from a very early age that got his mental processes and his emotional processes into that way of thinking and feeling from a young age, and probably doing exercises. He's probably doing all kinds of gymnastics and things when he was a kiddie, wasn't he? So he was already preparing himself for all that. So in Search for the Miraculous, page 351, relaxation of the muscles had an immense significance in proper sleep, and whoever did exercises in relaxation seriously very quickly noticed that his sleep became sounder, that he needed fewer hours of sleep. Gotta do the exercises. And then I will just finish with one that says, it is not possible to sleep well unless one has been well awake. So I bid you all a good night's sleep this evening, and every night for the rest of your lives, if you can do these exercises upon yourselves. Sleep well and wake well. Until next time.